Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Jo, this is Joey Sewy, and today we are doing What Did I Sew in May? I had a bumper sewing month in May, so I have lots of stuff to show you, not to sew you, but to show you. I'm going to start off with what I'm wearing. I'm going to go straight into it and start off with what I'm wearing. You had a sneak peek of this in my April favourites, May favourites video. It's early on a Monday morning when I'm filming this, so it might not come out sensible. But yes, you had a sneak preview of this jumpsuit in my May favourites video. So I thought I wouldn't make you wait any longer and I will show you straight away. So I'm going to step back and show you what it looks like on my body. So it's a down facing shot, but that's what it looks like. It has really wide trousers. This is the Sallie jumpsuit from Closet Case Patterns. It's not a new pattern, they released it years ago. It has an elasticated waist. This is sewn in jersey, in a stretch jersey. It has pockets. Ta-da! The pockets I did, the pocket line is there and the side seam is there, so this part of the pocket is in the same fabric as the rest, but the inside, this part of the pocket, is in just a black jersey, and that was partly to do with how much fabric I had. It's the same with the t-shirt, so the top is lined in a black jersey that I had, which was a bit tricky to use in any other way because it's slightly see-through and I hadn't found a way to use it. It has a kimono style top with what's called grown on sleeves. I do find them quite small, the sleeves. I've made this in a woven before and that was more of an issue because it cuts a little bit there. It really needs to open slightly lower down if you make it in a woven. Yeah, the pattern is sized for knit, so when I've made it in wovens before I had to resize the pattern and work out how much ease there was and things like that, and it was quite a long job. So this time it was the first time I'd actually sewn it as it was intended to be made, which is out of a stretch fabric, and I love the fit. I sewed according to my body measurements, grading from smaller at the top to larger at the bottom because that is the shape that I am, and the pattern worked out fine for sizing, so that is good to know. All the Closet Case patterns are too long for me because I'm smaller than they draft for. I think I'm probably 2-3 inches smaller than they draft for, so I almost always, no, not almost always, I always have to make them shorter. So if you are not 5'6", 5'6" or 5'7", then you'll need to make them smaller. I'm 5'4", sometimes 5'5", depending on how tall I stand up. So I did have to make, they're not really adjustments to the pattern, I don't think. It's just making it the right length and cutting out the right size. What else to say about it? It is, I think I said this in my favourites video, but it is so comfortable. I have had compliments every time I've worn this out. I did have to be careful about the pattern placement. I was cutting this out of far too little fabric. So the only place I could pay any attention to pattern placement was on the centre front. So I wanted to get one of these lovely pixelated roses onto the centre front. I'll see if I can show you that. So I did pay attention to that, but places like down here, I've just got a rose cut in half, which on a big print, and then I think I've got some roses cut in half on my bottom as well. On a big print, I don't think you can really avoid some of that going on, and I'm not bothered. It's not like I've got a big rose doing unfortunate things at the front crotch, shall we say, which I honestly didn't actually pay attention to whether that was happening or not when I was cutting it out. I just got lucky. But I did pay attention to the pattern placement here, and I love the pattern. I said in my favourites video that I might have a second one made. I didn't get that far. As always, by saying I'm going to do something, it immediately stopped it from happening. Not really. I just decided to prioritise doing my boys' hoodies, which I showed you the fabric for last month, So instead of zooming straight on and doing myself another jumpsuit, I thought I would do their hoodies. So I have cut out another jumpsuit. I can show you the fabric if you like. It's this kind of optical illusion fabric. I got this ages ago online from a seller who's not on eBay anymore as far as I can tell. It's kind of a bonded jersey. It's a funny stuff. I wondered about whether to use it black side out because it is a pretty strong pattern, isn't it? But I've seen quite a few, so that's the black side out, and I do like that. You do still get an effect of the pattern, but I've seen quite a few black and white optical prints in the Sallie jumpsuit on Instagram. It's a good hashtag to follow if you do Instagram. So I've decided to go for it on this side, not just because I've seen good examples, but because I also felt that possibly the reverse side is going to bobble and it's not intended to be the outside face of the fabric. So I've decided to go with this, but that is going to be a made in June, so you'll have to wait for that, but it is cut out, so it is going to happen. So I think the last thing to say is obviously today I'm layering it with a long sleeve t-shirt, and I think that's okay style wise. I'm not sure. I'd love your feedback about what you think. It does look better without a t-shirt underneath, I'm pretty sure of it. How about I show you that? Okay, so there you go. That is the jumpsuit without a t-shirt underneath. I know that looks better. I know that looks better than with a long sleeve t-shirt. But what I want to know is if I want to extend the seasonal use of this, basically on cold days, which there are a lot of, does it look alright with a long sleeve t-shirt under there? Yeah, I would love to get some external feedback. Polite but honest would be nice, please. The last thing to say is I raised the V on this by quite a lot. I think if I'd made it as drafted, it would be down to about there on me, which is far more than I want to expose, and I don't really have the shape to carry that off, shall we say. So just bear in mind, before I cut the first one ever, I was aware from reading other people's feedback that it is quite a low V. It's very simple to lift it up. I'll show you the pattern piece. Here you go. Let's hope it can. Let's focus. There we are. So there's the pattern piece. It's very clear to see that is the original line of the pattern piece, and that is how much I've added. And I've put a note on there. I've raised it by 2¼ inches. So that's, you cut that on the fold, so you can see. So yeah, I raised that up quite a bit, and you stabilise the neckline with clear elastic. So that is something to bear in mind, that if you like a deep V, that's great, you're going to get that from this. If you don't, then you won't. And also the front and back is the same pattern piece, so potentially you might want to have a higher V here and a deeper V there. I'm wondering about actually cutting straight across on my next one, so I don't have a V at all. Yeah, so that is something I'm considering. But this is my jumpsuit. I love it. It's amazing. It gets me lots of compliments. It's a win. So I'm back in my long sleeve t-shirt, and I'm going to show you some internal details of the next thing that I made. The next thing that I made is some Jenny overalls or dungarees, depending on where you live in the world, by Closet Kate's Patterns. If you've been following my channel for a while, you will know I've made these before. Had a bit of a saga the first time I made them, but this time it was all fine and lovely. So I'm going to show you the side buttons first. These are, so here is the trouser front. You'll get to see them on my body in a second. So there's the trouser front. They have a faux fly there. And those are the side buttons. So I basically didn't have any matching buttons, so I went all vintage and mismatched, all brown I went for this time. So then they don't even match on each side, although it's close. So as you can see, I think it's this one that doesn't actually match, but who looks at both hips at once anyway? That's what I thought. So those are the buttons, and then on the straps the buttons also don't match. Let's get them to focus at least though. So two different buttons, although the two different straps are the same. And I'll show you the pocket lining as well before we get them on my body, because you won't be able to see that once I am wearing them. So the pocket lining, this is a remnant from a top that I made last summer, and it's a pink. It's not coming out very pink on there, but it's a pink kind of, it's like a faux washed silk, but it's a synthetic of some description, but you don't see that at all when you're wearing them. So let's have a look at these on my body. I'll just put them on and talk to you. So the fabric is some of the, I thought I had them backwards then. The fabric is some of the fabric that I got in Lanzarote. It's the, well, obviously it's the denim that I got in Lanzarote. So if you haven't seen that fabric haul, it's quite a recent video, put up a couple of weeks before this one. And I found a lovely shop. Ugh, put this on the wrong. Try again. I found a lovely shop called El Kilo in Lanzarote, and I made quite a few purchases while I was on holiday. Whoa, look what I've done to it. I've made a right mess of that. Hang on. Okay, so I've been trying to perfect the art of getting in and out of jumpsuits and dungarees. If you've never worn them, you never consider actually how you put your clothes on, do you? But believe me, you have to start considering it when you wear jumpsuits and dungarees, especially when you've just put 8 buttons on the sides and 4 buttons at the shoulders. So I've been not undoing the straps, as you can see. I just pull them up like that, and only undoing one side. Closet Case Patterns has a hack on their blog about how to put the buttons in. It's not in the original instructions, but the instructions for the hack are completely free. And you don't have to put buttons on both sides, of course, if you don't want it to open on both sides. If it depends on your hip to waist ratio, and I've got a 2 dress size difference, which is kind of borderline, but I get away with only having to open one side. So if you can get away with only opening one side and they tell you how to test it, then you don't actually have to put buttons on the second side. But I like how having buttons on both sides looks. But in practice, I only use the buttons on one side. How many times have I used the word buttons? A lot. Okay, so let's have a look at the shoulder first of all. So I deliberately didn't, this was part style choice, part laziness. There you go. This is not folded over. This is top stitched, as you can see, and then I've deliberately let that fray. These have not been through the wash yet. The fabric was pre-washed, but the dungarees have not been through the wash yet, because I don't wash my clothes more often than they need to. Even though I have worn them quite a lot, they just get left out to air and then put away if they're not actually dirty. So I decided, rather than fold over all the bulk, which looked like it was going to be really troublesome to do, that I would not fold that over and just sew it and cut it. So it was pragmatism, and it was style choice. And it's style choice because it matches the back here. So yes, you can see that. So here we have the selvage edge of the denim. So that isn't deliberately frayed, and that won't fray anymore. It's the edge of the fabric. And also, if I move away, oh, I haven't done my buttons up. If I move away, you will see the back pockets, and they also have the selvage edge. So let's get a proper view of this moving around on my body. So I used the reverse side of the denim for the waistband. It is the same fabric, and I used the reverse side of the denim for the pockets. So this is how it looks. They're really wide legs, really floaty, flowy denim. There is a little bit of stretch to it, which is really comfortable to wear, but it has meant that this has been a little bit troublesome. You can see how it ripples, and really I should have stabilised that whole area, and I didn't. I can live with it, I don't care that much, but it is slightly annoying that it's not nice and it's not beautifully flat. I probably was a little bit optimistic with the size of the waist that I cut. I've put a little bit of weight on recently, and so strictly speaking the buttons should be about here, and they're a bit further that way to give me more space to move, but what can you do? This is how they fit. So it has that faux fly I showed you when I was holding them up. The bib now, this is different to the pattern. It is lined, so it's just lined with the same fabric, so there's a double layer there. This is my own drafted bib, which I showed you in my videos from last year, and I'll try and link them. And it's my own drafted back straps here. I prefer them to go together because I have quite narrow shoulders and things slip off my shoulders quite easily, so I want them to be here narrow and sloped shoulders, so everything just slides off. So I prefer how at the back everything is gathered in more so that it's not going to go to the side. So yeah, the top half of this garment is not what you would get in the pattern. Basically, I also love these dungarees. They've got such a vintage vibe. I just love the style of them. Yeah, I just love the style of them. I just love how they fit. They are super comfortable, and yeah, really pleased. This is just a basic grey long sleeve t-shirt, and that's one of the ways I've been wearing them, but I'll show you a different top option. So this is a Callie shirt, also from Closet Case Patterns, that I made last year with pink ombre buttons. You can just see the dark pink one there. And the difference is that this is quite a balloony, blousey, voluminous top, and I quite like how that looks. I like the vintage look of it. So that's how the side looks. This is how the side looks. I will give you a walk around. And so I like that these work with a tight top and also with a more what's the word, baggy top. So yeah, this is not a new make. I made this last year, but I haven't been wearing it very much, partly because it's been winter, but I'm loving how the combination goes together. It's like a leopard print top. Moving on, the other makes I've got to show you are tops. In fact, I'll show you my boys' hoodies first. So strictly speaking, we've got 1.5 hoodies to show you, and this one isn't completely finished because I ran out of top stitching thread about 6 inches away from the last line of stitching. Of course I did. But this is Bertie's hoodie. So again, last month I showed you the fabric for these. Here is the lined hood, which I'm really pleased with. It's got that dark blue lining in there. I can't show you it on him because I literally finished it about an hour ago. It's got an open-ended zip, which has worked out fairly well. It matches here. I had to do it a couple of times, but then it matches there. It's slightly off down there, and I've got a bit of a ripple because I had to stretch it, which annoys me because everything else about this top is pretty cool. This is a Jali pattern. I don't know if that's how you say it. It's a Canadian pattern company. They make lots of sportswear. I asked you guys for pattern suggestions, and that was a company that came up a couple of times, and they do a massive size range. So I bought one pattern and I have a size range from toddler to adult male, so it's really good. It has separate top and bottom, back and front, so I decided to do this cover stitch detail, which I will show you, across the seam. And I also did this cover stitch detail so the pocket has, I've used this ribbon inside to stabilize it so it doesn't stretch out. So we've got the running stitch part of the cover stitch, and then the kind of the back side of the stitch. So this is the back side of the stitch. I have to say, I'm not sure about this top and bottom in separate pieces approach, because at the back, if you're colour blocking, it offers loads of opportunities, and that's great, and I may well use up some fabric doing that. But when you're using a solid colour, I'm not sure. I really didn't like how it looked before I did the cover stitch. It has some advantages for the construction of the pockets at the front, but you could do it without, and what you end up with is massive amounts of bulk here and here when you're trying to get the zip in, and that caused me a lot of trouble. The top stitching of the zip also is pants, basically. It's rubbish. I can't do anything about that. My machine, this is really quite bulky sweater fabric, and my machine just will not go through it. It's not about how I'm working it, it's too big for my machine. I've got ribbon in the shoulder seam as well. So these are details that I've done in both hoodies. I have green ribbon in the shoulder seam as well, so that will not stretch. So I often put some form of ribbon or tape into the shoulder seam of stretch garments because you don't want that to stretch. That's where the garment hangs from. Yeah, I really like it. When Bertie initially put it on, this is why I don't sew for them very often, he went, no, it's too big, I don't like it. The second time he put it on, he changed his mind and he decided he did like it, which is lucky because he was going to have to leave home otherwise. Not really, but yeah, and he said, oh well, it won't have been very hard for you though, will it, mummy? And I've had mixed feelings about that comment. On the one hand, I know why he says it is because he just thinks I can do anything, which of course is very flattering, thank you very much. On the other hand, it means he has absolutely no idea the work that did just go into it. And although it's a hoodie, actually there's quite a lot of work to do in this, especially because it's pieced. It's not the simplest pattern I could have chosen. The last thing to show is the pattern includes instructions on how to bind the neck seam, which I think is a really nice touch because it means that here and around to the front where, let me see if I can put it on the hanger, around to the front where you know, you're not going to wear it zipped right up to there, are you? Most of the time you're going to have it slightly open. So it means that that area is nice and finished, except for where your mum's messed up the top stitching. So yeah, it's a really nice pattern. Instructions are good. They are translated from French because it's a French-Canadian pattern company, and in a couple of places not 100% clear. So if you're a beginner, just be careful. There are a couple of places where something has been lost in translation. Completely easy to work out if you know what you're doing, but I did just have to stop and go, that can't be what they really mean, a couple of times. Yeah, but that is the hoodie. The second hoodie is not finished, nearly finished. I just haven't done the scary bit of the zip. So this is Felix's hoodie. I prefer his fabric choice, I think, partly because it was thinner and so it was easier to sew. Same detail here. I haven't done the top stitching on his because I didn't think it would work out as well. So that's the back. And the hood as yet is unlined. If you remember, there is a leopard print to go in there. So I will show you this one and probably the other one completed on the children next month. But that took up quite a bit of my sewing time this month, and as I said at the start, that was why I didn't sew a second jumpsuit. So I thought I would show you half finished garments. Okay, this is a long one, isn't it? We are on to the last two garments, same pattern, two different ways. And it is the Kabuki tee from Paper Theory. I told you about this in my favourites video. It's a great pattern. It's so fascinating. The drafting is just that little bit out of the ordinary, quite quirky. So it was really fun to work out how to do it, and then to do it and to be proud of the results. And also with the first one, let me show you. So here's the first one. It is a red and white linen stripe. And what I'm trying to show you there, you can see it there, is basically I pieced the arms because I was making this as kind of a proof of concept. I wasn't sure if I would like the pattern. I wasn't sure how it would go together. So I grabbed some linen off my stash shelves, and I had enough to cut the body. That's the back. And I had nearly enough to cut the front, but I had to do this pieced section here. Didn't have enough to cut the sleeves, not even in two pieces, so I was basically patchworking it. You can see how many joins there are. There are joins up here at the shoulder, joins down there. I started out trying to do it in some kind of sensible patterned way. Didn't work, so I just went for lots of random diagonals. So I'll show you how that looks on. So this is how it looks on. I've still got the dungarees underneath, which is why you've got that distracting shape. Maybe I should take them down. I treated the linen I looked up on the internet, how do you make linen softer, because it was quite stiff and boxy, which is fine. It's a look that you could go for. But I treated it with bicarbonate of soda. I can tell you about that in a video if you're interested, which does make it go a bit softer. It is very cropped at the front, which was also about how little fabric I had. I'm going to zoom in a little bit more better. So we've got seam lines here, which I used the selvage edge. We've got a cropped at the front, lower at the back. And I really like it. Now I've gone too far. So I also really like how this looks. The seam line on here, it's much more noticeable in real life. Goes from there down to the, basically to the underarm. Okay, like that. And then same there. And the back is exactly the same as well. This has been through the wash because, as I said, I did that process with bicarbonate of soda and then washing it to soften up the linen, which did work. But it also meant that some of the seams on the arms came apart in the wash. So I don't think this is going to be very long-lived as a top, although I don't have to wash it that much, to be honest. I could hand wash it, because what I was doing when I was piecing the seams, I will show you again close up, is I was basically laying them like that and then zigzagging over the top. I was not putting them right sides together and then turning them out as you would normally do with a seam, because I didn't want the bulk. I wanted it to lie as much like a flat piece of fabric as possible. So you can see this is zigzag lines and it's just fabric laid on fabric. I did that and then I cut out, just a note on the process of how I did it. I basically patchworked all the fabric together and then I cut out the sleeve piece once I'd got enough to work with. Okay, I will show you the second one, which was not made from like 2 square inches of fabric. So again, I have got my dungarees under here, which are dark blue, so they will show through a little bit. But again, I've worked with stripes. On the body, they go that way. On the arm, they go that way. And I love how this looks as well. So this is some fabric that I got at Dewsbury Market last year. I would normally wear this tucked in, but because I'm showing you with dungarees, I can't tuck it in. I guess I'd kind of, there we go. It's sort of tucked in. So I prefer it styled, so you've got big blousey top like that, and then narrower at the waist, and then wider leg. So that's how I would like to wear it. And again, I love this. Yeah, I'm a huge convert to paper theory patterns. I'm really pleased with how it looks. And I think we have got to the end of the video. Phew, that was a long one. I hope you've enjoyed it. It's because I had 6 different things to show you. I was even going to show you the knitting. I haven't finished anything. I was going to show you my knitting, but I think I'll have to save that because I've talked to you for about a week. Thank you very much for watching. If you would like to enjoy any other videos from my channel, they always pop up at the end. If you would like me to do a video on anything in particular, I would love to oblige, so let me know, and I'll be back really soon with another video. Bye for now.